Hey there Guardians, welcome back to the channel and another Destiny 2 build. And today we're going to take a step away from the meta and just create something that's good old-fashioned fun. So what do I mean by fun? Well, how about near constant ability uptime, the ability to counter all three champion types, endgame potential, survivability, rapid super regen? Sound like fun to you? Because it sure does to me. We're going to begin by looking at our exotic armour, which will be the Titan chest piece, the Heart of Inmost Light. And although this chest has had a nerf in recent seasons, we're going to be able to offset that with our weapons selection, as we'll see a little later in the video. So the Heart of Inmost Light's exotic perk is called Overflowing Light, and it means that using any of our abilities, grenade, melee or class, will empower the other two abilities. At empowered times 1, our melee will do 10% increased damage and recharge 400% faster, and at times 2 it will do 20% more damage and recharge 800% faster. Our grenade at times 1 will do 20% more damage and recharge 400% faster, and at times 2 will do 35% increased damage and recharge 800% faster. And our class ability will recharge 25% faster at times 1 empowerment and 50% faster at times 2 empowerments. Also with the Heart of Inmost Light, it can drop at up to 71 base power, so it's pretty spicy straight off the bat. We're going to take an arc subclass, and it's your choice which sub to take. If you're doing boss DPS, Thunder Crash is a great option. However, personally, I feel that Fist of Havoc fits better for what we're trying to achieve here, and its utility of being able to blind as well as deal with waves and deal boss damage just makes it a better fit. For our abilities, we're going to begin with the Thruster. Now that means that while we're grounded, we can dart left, right, backwards or forwards up to 8 meters. What this really means is that we can play our Titan as if we're a hunter, and get in and out of dodgy situations very quickly. For your melee, again, your choice. However, I recommend the Thunderclap as you don't have to be sprinting to activate it, unlike Seismic Strike and Ballistic Slam. Also with the Thunderclap you can charge it up and deal some huge damage to bosses. For your grenade, you want to take one of either Lightning, Storm, Pulse or Flashbang grenades, as this will be enhanced by our aspects later. However, if you're going into endgame content, I would strongly recommend the Flashbang grenade due to its blinding effect intrinsically stunning Overload champions. For our aspects, we're going to begin with Touch of Thunder, which enhances our grenade's utility. So for example, a Flashbang will emit an additional blinding flash when it bounces on the ground. And we're going to pair that with the Knockout aspect, which empowers our arc melee every time we critically wound or break the shield of an enemy. Also, if we kill an enemy with our melee, it will start our health regeneration and make us amplified. For our fragments, we're going to begin with Spark of Shock, which means our arc grenades will jolt targets. Now remember, jolts will stun unstoppables, so if you've taken the Flashbang grenade, that one grenade will now intrinsically stun both Overload and Unstops. Next we're going to take Spark of Ions, so if we defeat a jolted target, it will create an Ionic Trace, and Ionic Traces grant us ability energy. We're going to take a Spark of Discharge, so Arc Weapon Final Blows also have a chance to create an Ionic Trace. And because we're going to be stuck in the thick of it, we'll take Spark of Resistance, which means while we're surrounded by enemies, we're more resistant to incoming damage. When selecting your armour, it should come as no surprise that our top priority is Resilience. This is for the 30% damage boost, but also Resilience controls the Titan class ability cooldown, and we want this as short as possible. Second priority is a tie between Discipline and Strength, which is quite unusual for a build as usually you'd be focused on one or the other. However, you want both of these as high as you can possibly get them. Having them equal is nice, but not essential. Recovery and Intellect are both nice to have. Keep your Intellect above 30, as that will avoid the cooldown penalty. and mobility is completely redundant in this build, as we're going to spend most of our time amplified and having the speed boost, so anything at all above 0 is nice to have. Let's look next at our seasonal artifact, and because this build is not meta in Season 23, it's entirely up to you what you choose here. The only one I would recommend is the piercing sidearm, and possibly Argent Ordnance, bolstering detonation and overload rockets, depending on what you're choosing. However, really it's up to you, just go nuts. None of these are essential. For our weapons, we want to begin with the Traveller's Chosen sidearm in the kinetic slot. The reason for this is the Gathering Light exotic perk means that Final Blows grants stacks of Gathering Light, and this allows us to alternate reload to recharge our abilities, and this offsets the nerf made to the Heart of Inmost Light. Also, thanks to Gift of the Traveller, each stack of Gathering Light we have will improve the weapon's reload handling and target acquisition. And because we've put on piercing sidearms, we now have all 3 champions covered: Barrier, Overload and Unstop. So endgame, bring it on. Also, if you have the Catalyst for Traveller's Chosen, this will grant Osmosis, meaning that if we use our grenade ability, it will change the weapon's damage type to match your subclass until you stow it. i.e., throw your grenade and Traveller's Chosen becomes ARG. It also grants Surplus, which increases handling, reload and stability for each fully charged ability. And remember, the Heart of Inmost Light is recharging our abilities constantly. For our special and heavy, I'd recommend that we take arc weapons, ideally something with Vault Shot, as that gives us an additional source of jolts. And if you've got something that's got Demolitionist as well, more the better, as that will just feed into our grenade recharge. And that brings us finally to our mod selection. So on the helmet, we're going to begin with a Harmonic Siphon, which generates orbs of power when we get kills with weapons matching our subclass, which, thanks to Osmosis on our Traveller's Chosen Catalyst, is all 3 of them. We're also going to take a Dynamo, which gives us super energy whenever we dodge in the vicinity of an enemy. Well, it's actually when we use our class ability, but we're using Thruster, so hey, it's a dodge. And we're going to take a Heavy Ammo Finder, as this just means more heavy on tap, and because we're using an exotic primary, this will activate far more frequently. On our arms, we're going to take Focusing Strike, which will grant class ability energy when we cause damage with a melee. We're going to take Momentum Transfer, which means causing damage with a grenade will reduce the cooldown of our melee, and then your choice of either heavy-handed or firepower. And this will generate an orb of power whenever we get a kill with our melee or our grenade respectively. Now, I've tried both, and my personal preference is heavy-handed, as it just sinks better into my playstyle. On your chest, take your choice of damage reduction mods to suit the activity that you're undertaking. On our legs, we're going to take Recuperation, which will return 70 HP on picking up an Orb of Power. Orbs of Restoration, which will grant 10% energy to our ability with the least energy at that time. And Absolution, that will grant 5% energy to all 3 of our abilities on an orb pickup. On our class item, we're going to begin with a Bomber, which reduces our grenade cooldown by 12% every time we use our class ability. Because we're using Thruster and able to dodge like a hunter, we're going to take Powerful Attraction, which will automatically collect nearby orbs of power when we activate our class, and a Reaper. So if we get a kill with a weapon, within 10 seconds of using our class ability, that will also spawn an Orb of Power. Now, it's quite unusual to see these mods used in combination, but essentially we're creating a huge loop in the same manner as the Heart of Inmost Light, i.e., our melee feeds our class feeds our grenade, and our grenade feeds our melee, and round and round and round we go. And because Heart of Inmost Light is also boosting the other 2 abilities when we use one, it just enhances this massively. so it means that our ability uptime is pretty much constant. And in the odd times when we don't have that ability up, we can use the alternate reload on Traveller's Chosen, and that refunds all of them. And this brings us nicely to our gameplay loop, which is quite simple. Granted, it's not the easiest one ever, which is shoot enemies in the face, but it's right up there in its simplicity. All we have to do is cycle through our abilities, and each will charge the next and overpower the next. So we dodge, that empowers our grenade and our melee. We throw a grenade, that empowers our melee and our class. We use our melee, that empowers our grenade and our class. And round and round and round we go. Getting kills with Traveller's Chosen will generate us orbs thanks to the Osmosis perk and Reaper. Our melee will generate us orbs, so we're feeding into our abilities again, and we're chunking our health back up as we go. And that's it. It really is that simple. In endgame, our grenades and Traveller's Chosen will cover all 3 champion types, and we have enhanced survivability thanks to Spark of Resistance. Basically, this build is just great fun, and we have ability spam on tap. So try it out, take it into your favourite activity, and just go nuts. And that just about wraps it up. So if you've enjoyed this video and you're interested in more Destiny 2 builds, please don't hesitate to drop a like and a subscribe. You'll be really helping the channel grow. But until next time, Guardians, whatever you're doing out there, I hope you have a fantastic day.